If you're new to the channel, then I will go ahead and fill you in now. The way I started my hair was with the new Dread hair sponge that kind of makes the little coils or whatever. That's actually how I started my locks, and I still recommend the method. I still stand by it, but in hindsight, I did notice that it resulted in a lot of damage in my locks, particularly in this area. I kind of just over sponged it, and the tighter that you keep twisting and sponging that hair, it eventually starts to rip it out. And so what I was noticing is now at the older part of my locks, the parts that, you know, used to be closer to my roots, I was seeing a lot of breakage, and they just weren't as strong, and that resulted in some of them just being very short in comparison with other parts of my hair where my locks are, you know, the regular length. So with these short pieces, it was just really frustrating because there's a lot of styles that I can't do. I can't pull all of my hair back into a ponytail because the short pieces stick out. When I wash my hair and there's shrinkage, then the short pieces will just be like sticking up in the air like this, and it's just not consistent with the rest of the length of my hair. So I figured that I would go ahead and extend it and kind of do more of a permanent lock extension. So of course you can take these out if you want to. You can cut it, comb it out, whatever. That is the reason why I'm doing this, and this is the technique that I use for all of these locks here. So as you can see, they look very natural because the color matches. You can't really tell where they stop and start, especially once I retwist it and everything is looking all nice and tight, then you're definitely not going to be able to tell. So as you see here, all of the dark locks I actually made with the process that I'm about to show you, but I just wanted to show you just how like natural they look, and you know, they're not looking all shiny, they're not looking wrapped, they look comparable to the way that my actual locks look. So that is the goal in the way that I'm doing this, and the reason that I'm using the hair that I'm using and all of that. So with that being said, let's get into that. I actually got this hair from the beauty supply store. However, if I can find it on Amazon, then I'll put the link down in the description. But basically it is kinky bulk afro hair. This is from the Vivica Fox collection. It came in a 2-pack, and the color that I'm using is 1B. And also it is 100% human hair. So that is why I chose this. It comes in 2 bundles that look just like this. It's kept in a little hair net. And so let's just go ahead and get into the process. Basically with this hair, it's not like in any defined like strands or anything. So I just kind of hook my finger in and grab some and like rip it out. And so this is what the hair looks like. It is afro, literally kinky afro hair, and I love that. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna be working with this little short lock here. The way that this is gonna start off is like a basic braid, I guess. So we're going to be attaching our human hair to the end of this lock to braid it and extend it to give it the length that we want. So you're gonna need to take 2 pieces of hair. I do one that is a little bit thicker. Mind you, I'm using that relatively, and you're gonna see why. But you see how thin that my locks are, and that is the goal. We want to keep these locks thin. I don't want it to be thick and big and bulky and hard. So this is 1 piece of hair that I'm going to be using. And then what I do, I get another piece of hair. Obviously this isn't long enough, but I start to stretch it. So I just keep pulling at it and like layering it on top of each other until I have it in its longest form. So that is the 2nd piece of hair. And so then what you're going to do is take your smaller piece of hair and make it like cross it over and fold it. So now you double up. So now it should look like a T. So this is what the hair should look like now. You have the smaller piece folded over, and that's why we put the smaller piece in the middle, because it was going to fold and double, and we don't want it to be too thick. So now you have your T. That middle piece is basically going to connect to the lock. So you take the lock and you take the middle piece and you hold that all together. So now the lock and the middle piece of hair are in between my fingers. So now you can see all 3 pieces. I have this piece here, and then I have the 2 pieces that I'll be braiding with. And basically go ahead and start to braid that. the same way that you would braid as if you were doing like a box braid or individual or whatever, but braid it down. This is definitely one of those trust the process type of moments, because it's gonna look a little fishy. I know right now you can see where the braid started in comparison to my lock, but don't worry about that because, like I said, trust the process. All right, so that is the length. I'm not gonna make it too long because my natural hair is not even that long. When I braided it to the length that I actually want the lock to be, I stopped and I left this hair out at the bottom. That is an important step to this, and we are going to move on. So now we're gonna go back into our hair, our bundle of hair, and this time we're going to pull out a little bit of a bigger piece. This is a good size. And what I like to do, like this ain't gonna help me. So I just kind of like fold it, and I wanna make sure I have like a nice solid end to the hair. So for this part, it would be very helpful if you have a crochet needle. This one is very small. I got it from the arts and crafts store. This is a number 10, and it's 1.30 millimeters. I don't know, that's the size of this needle that I have. So if you wanted to go and buy a crochet needle, then this would be a good size. And I like this size because you can actually, like, my locks are small, so you can actually like get inside of them without like disrupting it and breakage and tearing the hair and all that stuff. So with that braid that we just did, we're gonna go above where the hair starts. So the hair starts right here. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to move up just a little into the actual lock. And so I'm gonna take that edge of the hair and I'm gonna put it above where the braid starts, and I'm just gonna kind of wrap it around. And so now the hair is wrapped around the lock. And now I'm gonna take my crochet needle, and this part, I can't even tell you what the process is. You just kinda have to kinda do it. But essentially you're gonna go inside the lock, like through that fake hair in the lock, and you're gonna pull the hair in and out of your natural lock. So essentially we're incorporating this natural hair, we're crocheting it into our lock. So I know it's gonna be hard to see because I kind of use my fingers to, like, as I'm doing it, I use my fingers to kind of like shape the lock and shape where the hair is going. But whenever you do the crochet needle with your locks, always do it at like a downward angle. Don't do it up because you're pulling hair. So if you're doing it up and you're grabbing hair from like the root and you're pulling it, you're gonna be pulling the hair out of your head. So do it from this way and you're pulling the hair up into the lock. And so again, I don't really know how to describe like the actual hand technique, but as you can see with my fingers, I'm like twisting as I go in and out. And this just makes sure that the hair is going in different directions so that it'll be more secure. And at no point am I ripping the hook out of my hair. So when I need to take the hook out, you can feel which direction the hook is going. So look, you see it's going through here. I'm making sure I unhook it first before I pull it out. That is so important. But anyways, now the hair is attached to my lock. So what we do from here is we're going to begin wrapping it around. So I'm just going under with my finger and I'm grabbing the hair and I'm pulling it around. A big part of this is that I did not like really pre-stretch the hair. I didn't make it all nice and smooth. I kept it in its afro state so that when I wrap the lock, it's going to look afro kinky in the same way that my locks naturally look. And I'm not wrapping it in the same place a whole bunch of times. As I'm wrapping, I am moving look, I'm going down. Like I started up here and I'm already moving down. So just continue to move down. This is because my locks are thin. So I don't want to build a big bulky wrapped lock. I just want it to be thinly wrapped. But since the hair is not stretched, it doesn't require that I use layers to hide the braid. I'm gonna wrap essentially all the way down to this end. where the braid stops. Okay, so now we're at the end of the braid and where the loose hair that we left out is. So what I do is I combine the hair that we added and I combine the hair at the end of the braid. Basically just use my fingers and my nails to comb through that hair at the end. And in doing so, I'm just kind of adding it all, like I'm combining it together. So now look at that. You saw how we had two separate pieces of hair. Now we just have one at the end. So I fold the end very tight because I don't want like a big ball at the end. Now I'm stretching out the hair because I don't need it to be thick. This isn't for coverage. What I'm about to do now is just to secure this hair so that it doesn't unwrap. Start wrapping it, but going back up the lock. So now I'm wrapping the hair the same way I was doing before, but instead of going diagonally down, I'm going diagonally up. All right, so now the hair is wrapped on there. Palm roll it really quickly just to kind of like secure everything together. As you can see, it's a little bit bulky at the end. The way that I folded it, it was not as tight as I want, but get your crochet needle, okay? And we're gonna go back one to the end where we folded it, and we're just gonna crochet that. And this is just gonna kind of like knot that end together so it's not just folded hair, you know? Now it's actually crocheted and knotted and tangled and it's not coming undone. I'm just going in and out and I'm doing my little twisting method. So now that's secured. And then any places in the lock that are a little bit bulky or you feel like the hair is loose, go into the lock with your crochet hook and start to pull that loose hair in. And twist and, you know, just twist it. You see I'm twisting the lock around as I do it too, because I don't want the lock to be flat. It's a circle, it's a cylinder. So I'm making sure like all of the sides are even. And you can just kind of feel up the lock and feel and see if there's any places where like the hair is kind of loose, like right here. So I'm gonna get my crochet hook and put it through and I'm gonna start to pull that hair in. But the most important step is when we wrap the hair back up the lock, that loose end, we have to crochet that into the lock as well. As you see, I made a lock. It is secure, it ain't coming out. It is in there like swimwear, okay? I mean, you tell me, aside from the obvious difference in color and a little bit of length, you can't really say that these locks look fake. Like you can't really, you know, easily identify where they start. You can't see that they're braided onto my hair, but every single one of these black ones, I did with this process. You know what I mean? So these are those.